Hello.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Muscle of Yarn podcast.
Yes, I was playing with the clicker again.
I know we didn't get any outtakes of you
I know.
and all of the words we were saying. We were like, clicky, hello.
It's not working.
Anyway, this is a podcast about knitting, crochet. I'm going to get my spin on you guys. So Tour de France starts this weekend.
Yes.
And so does Tour de Fleece. And I'm going to use it as my motivation to get my spinning
Get some spinning
on. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I've gotta sit down with my wheels. Anyway, before I get into all that, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Angela.
And you can find the store on all kinds of social media as Muscle of Yarn. We're Facebook, Ravelry, Instagram, the
Periscope,
website. Yep, Periscope,
Twitter.
as and they're all Muscle of Yarn.
Yes.
So, and
You can find me out on the intertubes on Instagram and Ravelry as Junior Bird Kid.
And you can find me on Ravelry as Kelly Spins, and you can find me on Instagram as Kelly O Spins. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So today's the 29th of June.
and it's Thursday, and it's raining
Again.
again. I know it's been with really weird weather-wise for everybody this year. Because it's so funny. I was watching a lot of the British podcasters.
Oh, that's super hot
and
there.
it's, for them, it's like
Yeah.
crazy hot,
Yeah.
and we've had just a incredibly wet spring into summer. It's just
Yeah.
and last year was the opposite. We were in a drought.
Yeah. And it was super hot.
And then the Southwest here in the States is
It's
very hot. It's
like hot to the point where certain planes can't even fly
yeah,
because it's too hot.
it's incredibly hot. And then there was snow out in the West in the Rockies, and yeah, it's just been weird. It's been really hot up kind of your old neck of the woods too.
Yeah, for them.
Yeah.
It's been hot here too. Like we've had
Yeah.
a couple of days where it's been in the 90s, and then
Which is
it'll
early for us.
Yeah, and it'll cool down. It'll be like in the 50s in like the
Yeah.
span of 24 hours. It's very weird.
Yeah, it's been really, really hot and super humid, and then all of a sudden we'll get a cold front, and it'll be cold and dry again, but rainy.
Yeah,
Drive by humidity
I think I was
level.
on like the National Weather Service a couple days ago, and it was like the humidity level is 93%, and I was like, well, that explains a lot.
My hair was like,
And I was like,
I know. I just ended up wearing it up because, yeah.
Yeah. So, and this really is a podcast about knitting.
But
and
we often
fiber.
get off on tangents, so if
Yes.
you're new to us,
Welcome. This is normal.
yeah, and thanks for joining us, and we hope that you like the podcast, and if you do, you can hit the subscribe button, and and the little bell too. If you hit the bell, that'll give you updates just as soon as we release a new
As soon
episode.
as I get my act together and get the podcast loaded up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody all of our returning viewers who know what we're all about, and you keep on coming back, which we love.
Back to sit and knit with us, which
That's
is
right.
awesome. Or crochet
I
or
know.
spin or
oh
whatever.
my gosh, this week it's been so. I think a lot of people are on vacation this week, especially with the holiday next week.
Yeah.
Which we will be closed on Tuesday, but that's the only day we're going to be closed.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, we've had a lot of people from all over the country come and visit us, which
That's
is
awesome.
really cool. Yeah.
We love visitors. Well, I say I'm only usually here Thursday afternoons, maybe sometimes on the weekends. But Kelly loves visitors, so come visit her because she's usually the one that's here.
That's right. Yeah, we had some people from Australia in too. Isn't that cool?
That is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So we've had people from all over coming and visiting us, which is so fun. But there's so much to do here.
Yeah.
So Vermont's always been a very heavy tourism state.
Yeah, lots of stuff to do outside and other attractions. So.
Yeah.
So we are actually wearing some knits today because it's not.
Yeah.
This is my summer cardigan. So.
I have to put what are we wearing on here because we're usually this time of year.
So I'm wearing my featherweight. which I knit actually out of lace weight. So a lot of people did fingering weight, feather weight, and this is the lace weight. I might eventually make a fingering weight one.
It's funny, Carol was just talking about that because she wants to make a fingering weight sweater because they're really versatile pieces. You know, you can wear them any season. I wear mine, you know, chilly summer mornings, but I also wear it inside in the winter because then you're not too hot. So.
Exactly. This one, the lace weight one, is really more just sort of a summer type. If you want something over your shoulders, I have a tank top on today, and I tend to subscribe to the like not appropriate to have bare shoulders in a professional setting. So I feel like at a minimum, just having the sweater over my shoulders. And it's not hot, so it's not uncomfortable.
And it's nice, like, going in and out of air-conditioned places in the summer just to have something. Which, it's so funny because people, you know, I a lot of times will wear a shawl in the summer. Yeah. And even though it's wool, like, I'm not hot. And I'm not, it's not like I'm wearing it constantly. If I was outside in the sun, I wouldn't be wearing it. But it is nice. I can toss it in there. So, you know, compact. You can toss them in your bag, and then just, you know, if you go inside where it's a restaurant or something, you can just toss them on.
So you're also wearing a finished object this week.
So I'm going to do What Are We Wearing and FO. So, I meant to grab them, but we have the Katia Ombre kits, which we showed a few episodes ago.
Do you want me to go grab some real quick, or do we I'll take a couple pictures and we'll put them in.
And I'll link it in show notes too, so you guys can see all the colors that we have. We have I think all but 2 or 3 of the colorways they offer. So they're kits and they're mini skeins, and they're in these cute little balls. And there's 6 colors in a set, and they're about 92 yards each, I want to say. And this is actually a free pattern that's included with the kit.
Okay. Nice.
It's a big asymmetrical shawl, and the wingspan is at least as long as my hand size. It's actually bigger than that. I think it's like a 6-foot wingspan.
Oh wow.
And then
it's a pretty good size shawl.
It's a really deep V too. I mean, you can see the way I'm wearing it. This is the point of it, so it's quite deep too. So I could squish it up more and wear it. So it is technically, they call it a sport weight, but you could knit it to a fingering weight gauge because it's
so squishy.
It's really squishy.
Yeah.
And you actually knit this on 9s, so it flies.
Oh yeah, fast project.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for
super fast
last minute gift or something.
Yep.
I refer to those as projects that when you're in the slog of, well, I'll talk about this guy later. It's nice to throw one of those on because you can finish it in a couple of days and then you feel accomplished, and then you can go back to your slog.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of people interested in how this yarn feels. It's 100% extra fine merino, so it's super soft. If you've worked with the Plymouth Select extra fine merino before, it has a similar feel to that, but it's a lighter weight yarn. They make a DK and worsted. And this is a much finer version of that, but it really, that's what it reminds me of. It's a bit splitty, so you have to be a bit careful when you're knitting it that you don't, split the strand, which I did a couple times, and I just took some leftover bits and went back and caught all of the strands, and then just weaving in my ends, I just did that, which sometimes happen, and rather than drop it, so another thing too, because you're knitting this on not US 9s, dropping down, even if you drop down to fix a stitch, it gets really sloppy, and you have to be, it would be really fussy to fix it. So I noticed I'd split a strand and on that one, and rather, because it was only a few rows down, rather than just taking some extra yarn and going in, I was like, well, I'll just drop it down, fix it, and I did, and I didn't like the way it looked, so I just pulled back. Because it's so fast to knit, I was like, it's going to take me no time.
It'll take less time to pull it back.
Exactly. So just a couple words of caution if you're going to do that. But yeah, it was super quick. I think, working on other things in between too, it was like a 10 or 12 day project. So it was quick. And yeah, so this one starts. The very brightest orange is way down here. So that's the first color. That's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then 6th is like a really deep purple.
Nice.
It's like a you know, kind of a red burgundy purple, but it's really, really deep. It's really pretty. So you can, obviously, in the pattern, you can choose which way you want to go, whether you want to do the orange to the deep purple or the purple to the bright orange. And I don't wear as much of the oranges, so I figured I'd put that on the smaller end, so that the purples and reds would be the ones that would show more. So that's why I chose to do it this way, but you obviously can kind of do whatever with it.
Right.
So this is going to be living in the store, and
nice.
So people can see what it knits up like. And the nice thing is, so this pattern is included with the little yarn kit, but if you go to Katya's website, you can actually get, I think 2 or 3 other patterns. One is more lacy, and there's actually a crochet version too, so if you're a crocheter, there's a really nice crochet pattern that you can do in this too.
Okay.
So it gives you more options, and I think they actually say that on the little brochure that's in with the kits. But it's nice. It kind of gives a lot of different options. And the other thing, summer, it's so nice to be able to, especially if you're on vacation, and we've had a lot of people come in, and in the summer we notice kits are really popular, because when you're on vacation, even if you've brought your projects with you, you might want something new, and to have something all kitted up, ready to go, all you need are the needles. Yeah. It's nice. So we actually sell quite a lot of kits in the summer. Yeah. And this one would be so easy. You could, sit out by the water or whatever and just work away at it.
I mean, it looks like it's just a garter stitch.
It's just garter stitch.
So.
Yeah, it's just garter stitch. So it's really, really easy, and there's just one increased stitch, and that's all you have to do. So,
yeah.
Nice. So it was quick and fun, and and the nice thing is, because you've got the 6 little mini skeins, even though it's just garter, you're changing color, fairly rapidly. So it's just
kind of keeps your interest.
Let's see what the next color looks like coming up. So yeah, it is
potato chip knitting.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't eat just one.
That's right. I know, because you get the one color you're close to again. I'm like, oh, I'm so close. I'm just gonna do the next color.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah. So you have an FO2.
I do. One of the sweaters is off the needles. It's clearly not this one.
Yeah, mine isn't either.
But I did finish Lionheart with its little stripy hood.
So cute.
It needs a mannequin. I'm gonna have to order a little person-sized mannequin to put it on, because it doesn't.
Especially with the hood.
It doesn't display very well.
It's so cute.
Thank you. It's super fun. This is like the 2-year-old size. It seems big.
It does seem big.
But
yeah, it does seem big.
That's all right.
She'll be able to wear it for a long time.
She'll be able to wear it.
She can wear it as like a little tunic right now.
She can. Yes. So this is Legacy Fiber Arts. Their DK.
Oh, you're gonna have to send Sue a picture.
No, totally. I will. The Brandy's Pansies is the purple and green color, and then the solid is Harold's purple crayon,
which Sue did as a custom order. For Ange. So
yeah, because I was crying on the podcast about how I couldn't find anything to match the Franny's Pansies.
And then Sue came and
Sue's like, I'll just do it. And I was like, really? So thank you,
Sue's
Sue,
great.
because it's beautiful. And I actually have quite a bit of yarn left over. I only went a little bit into the 3rd skein of the purple.
Yep.
And then I've got quite a bit of the Franny's Pansies left. So I have to decide what I want to do. It might be a hat. It's probably a good project for like a matching hat. She's gonna need a bigger. I like the Bumble hat. I've knit those before. Yeah. They're really good for 2 colors.
Yep.
And
is that the little green one that you have out there too? Yeah, that is cute.
Yeah, it knits up. It's like, I literally thought the pattern was wrong the first time, because it calls for like 10.5 needles, and I was like, that cannot be right.
DK, wait, no.
Yeah. No, it's right. Those folks know what they're doing. So it is right. It's really quick. So I may make one of those. I might be able to make one of those for myself and have extra yarn to make one for her, or maybe I'll just make one for myself.
There you go. And then you can wear it while she's wearing her sweater.
Yeah, inadvertent matchy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
Yeah.
they'd be warm too. That hat is really nice and dense.
Yeah.
And squishy.
Yeah, it is. And of course you would need, yarn left over for pom-pom. So
I know.
so that's always sort of the, like, do I have enough yarn? Am I going to have yarn for it?
Sorry, I'm just making notes.
Yeah, Bumble had to add that in.
Because otherwise I will forget to put it in the show notes.
Yeah, and somebody will ask and we'll be like, what?
Yeah. Like, what? I don't know what you're doing.
So I worked pretty diligently on that to get that done. Mm-hmm. The hood, can I just
so
say
cute.
hoods, it's like almost knitting a whole nother sweater.
Oh my gosh.
You see how long that is?
They really seriously are.
It's deceptively a lot.
You're like, oh, it's just the hood.
Oh, it's the hood. I'm almost done.
They really do. They
Forever
do.
and ever.
Yeah. It looks awesome, though.
So maybe I will get adventurous and make one for myself, because this also comes in adult sizes.
Oh, nice.
I wouldn't be able to knit. I was thinking I have some fiber optic yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck probably 2 or 3 years ago, which I'm pretty sure is in a DK weight.
Yeah. Oh.
It's like browns and blacks and grays.
Oh, pretty.
And so I might do I could do the reverse and do colored stripey for this and do a more solid color for the other stripe. So I'm mulling that one. So I
That would be pretty.
might make a bigger sized one. We'll
Nice.
see. We'll see.
Sweet.
So what are you working on?
I got all kinds of things. I probably won't show you guys my flax light because I really haven't gotten that much further. I'm still in that 4th color, and I have worked on it a little bit, but not enough. Not enough that if I show you, you'd be like, it really doesn't look like that much different than last time. So I won't show it to you. I brought Bowden, which I have worked on a little bit. I'm not going to show that to you because there's not enough of a difference, but I did bring it because I'm going to talk to you about. We had a couple things we're going to talk about in the What Do You Want to Hear About thread that we've got on our Ravelry page. So yeah, if you have questions, send them there, and then we'll talk about stuff.
Absolutely.
So I will talk about, besides this, which I just knit on. You guys didn't even see this because I started this after our last podcast because it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Since our last one. So yeah, you guys didn't even get to see this started. So I started something new. Yes, I know. Well, I didn't bring the pattern out either. So.
Well, and I get all the fun stuff, right? Because sometimes at night I check in to see the receipts for the day and just see, what are people buying? I know, what are people buying? Like, what's selling? And then I see Kelly's name popped up, and I'm like, what did Kelly buy?
Kelly's name pops up like every day.
So because I apparently internet stalk her. No. So I knew that you had bought that, and I was wondering if you had decided to knit the spring into summer shawl out of a different color set. That's what I was thinking,
Gotcha.
but apparently you have not. You're knitting something else.
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
So I am doing, I've had this pattern in my favorites and in my queue for a while, and it's a Stephen West pattern, and it's called Batad, I think is how you say it. It's B-A-T-A-D, and it's really pretty. It's an asymmetrical, it's kind of like, not really a cowl, it's more like a shoulder cozy or a shawl that's been knit so that it's joined at the point.
Okay.
So, and I didn't bring the pattern, so I don't have a picture to show you, but, so you knit it, this is it. So it's going to keep growing from here. So this is the neckline up here where my fingers are. And you knit, this is like a hemmed edge, and later on he refers to these parts as welts because you do the same thing. You knit a section, and then you go back on the last row and then pick up from the first row.
So it's actually giving texture to that, because that's going to be raised up.
See, you can see that it's raised there.
Wow, look at that's cool.
And this one sits flat, obviously, because it's the very first one, but you can see that it folds over to the inside. And then he has you do a provisional cast on, but I ended up just doing a regular cast on and then just picking up the purl, well, not the purl stitches, the cast on stitches.
Stitch. Yeah.
Which is kind of how you do the little welts in between anyway. So it's just, it's a series of short rows. So this section out here is going to be much longer. That section actually, so it almost ends up looking like how you would wear a shawl if you're wearing it like this. Sorry, my head's off the screen. So this section up here is going to be really kind of narrow and sit close, and then this point will come down. So
Okay.
a lot of the pictures that of the pattern where he's wearing it, you know, he's got it draped over one arm, and then it sits closer up here
Okay.
and narrower. So you can see there's only just a couple rows here, whereas opposed to, whoops, I don't want to lose stitches. As opposed to this side, there's
Which
a
is
lot
growing.
more rows. So, and actually it goes this way, but whatever. I know you guys don't really care. And I'm using Wonderland Yarns, one of their combo kits. And I'll show you all the colors. So this is the main color. The combo kits come with one full size skein and then a pack of their minis. So they do 5 minis in theirs. So this color is called Little Busy Bee. And then the other colors are this one goes in here, and then yeah. So those are the colors, and these are called Lime to Turquoise Shadow. So you can buy them separately, but we had this combo kit, and so it's gonna. I started with, well, the main color, this one, and then I went to this one. So it's gonna end with those. Well, actually, it's not gonna end with those two. So the pattern ends up having 9 of these sections of it throughout. So, and since there's 5 of them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work through the colors, and then this one is the last of the 5, and then I'm going to start working back out from there.
Oh, okay.
So,
cool. So
yeah.
one of them. So this one you only do once, but the other ones you'll do twice.
Exactly.
Oh, that'll be cool.
And I did that because when I'm working back out, since I used the least of this one, it's going to be the biggest stripe,
Right.
so I should have the most of this
Right.
one left.
Right.
So, and I should have enough yardage to do it, so.
Stay tuned, folks, to find out if Kelly does have enough yardage.
But the good news is, you know, I can stop as soon as, you know, if I saw I was going to run out.
You can control.
I can stop, and I can
Yeah.
just, you know, stop doing the number of the repeats. So, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's always exciting around here. Yeah, I was playing yarn with this one. I was playing Yarn Chicken a little bit, and some of them, because I was like, yeah, I should get my scale out and weigh it. No, that looks like about enough.
Close enough.
So it ended up, it was just fine. So
Nice.
that's pretty much between this and that. That's pretty much what I've been working on. I've worked on a couple customer projects. Had a finishing of a little baby sweater to do. So yeah, and then just put a few rows on my fade and a few on the Bowden as well.
So I've been diligently working on my confetti fade,
Yes, you have.
which is
It's
what
gorgeous.
I've been working on here. I'm on color number 4, and I have 5, so I have 1 more color to go. So that's
so pretty.
where I am right now. So it's just in the stockinette and increase. So this pattern has increases because it's more of an A-line sweater. So I've been playing a little loosey-goosey with the increases, like just kind of when I remember.
That looks about right.
Yeah, that was about X number of rows. That's close enough. So it's just, you know, miles and miles and miles of stockinette. Like I've got tons of stitches on the needle. So
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
I know.
And then I got to do the sleeves.
I wanted to be so good and like crank mine out before the podcast. At least get the body of mine done.
Yeah.
So I could try it on and make sure that I was,
Yeah.
you know, want to keep going. And
I am thinking that perhaps confetti would be a good short sleeve sweater. That's like where I am right now. So.
Yeah.
I
know.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll both come in. We'll be wearing our sweaters with like little short sleeves.
Like I just couldn't do it.
Although if mine ends up being as long as I think it's going to be, I think I'm gonna want long sleeves.
Want long sleeves on mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I got this done, which I was pretty sure I would get this done before the podcast, but I really wanted to get the body of that one done too. But then I cast on batade, which is probably a bad idea because then I was like, oh, I just want to work on this.
Kelly, there's no knitting police.
I know there aren't. I know. I've been like all about like super bright color, and like I go from red to like the bright green and turquoise to
I've been on
my fade, which is like the pinky coral color.
I've been on a purple kick. I can't get off the purple. Look, I'm even wearing purple today.
I know
like,
you are wearing purple today.
Whatever that's all about.
I've been like any color is fine by me. I know. I don't really have. There's colors I like. There's very few colors I don't like. So there's some colors I don't really wear. Like I really don't wear a lot of pink. I like pink, but I don't really wear a lot of it. I have like a really light pink shirt, a couple light pink shirts that I wear.
Yeah.
But like bright pink,
Yeah.
I don't really wear.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
So do you have anything that you're eyeballing to start? Maybe. No.
I already started one that
You
I've
already
been
did.
eyeballing for a while.
See, the disadvantage to me is I have to eyeball when I come in on Thursdays. So I'm usually wandering around the store like, I'm going to knit with this. And
She
I
finds the yarns and then finds the patterns. Usually.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you the yarn, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to crochet, and then we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
So I'm going to use this Marisol Nuna, which is a merino silk viscose blend, which I think is beautiful, and it's this lovely
really
kind
lovely.
of blue turquoisey kind of color.
It has a really nice sheen and really lovely
Yeah.
drape to it. Yeah.
And I found a cowl pattern to crochet, which is actually a Mobius. It really is intended to be a Mobius, not just because I mess it up.
Well, crochet, it's a little bit harder
Mess it up. Yeah,
to turn it into a Mobius when you're not intending to.
I know.
Well, it depends on the construction.
So
but
the
yeah,
construction
so
has you knit the long thing and then join it.
is crochet.
I mean, yeah, crochet the rectangle and then join it.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, because I need something that's gonna give me a break from this. So I think this is it,
Nice.
because I need to do more crochet. It's good. We need some samples that are
Yeah.
crochet.
Yeah, I know it's tough sometimes finding new crochet patterns. We do have some crocheters that have been doing it for years that come in and they're looking for more advanced patterns, but then we also have a lot of people that it's fairly new to them, so they're looking for fairly simple patterns. So it's always a struggle. So if you guys have suggestions for patterns that you love, send them to us, because we always love to have new ideas. And
Yeah. And I will say, this pattern, when I looked at it, didn't scare me away. I was like, I could probably do that. But I say that about anything. Like,
she just jumps in.
I just jump in.
That's kind of what I do too.
I mean, I'm a self-taught knitter, so I don't have that level of like, oh, I'm not ready to do that. I'm just like, I want to make that, so.
Which is actually, it's kind of nice, because you end up learning so much as you go, because you have to learn these new skills.
Yeah.
And
Sometime, well, we should add this to the, like, what should we talk about? I can tell you guys about how my first sock went. So, because when there's new terminology, like pick up the gusset. Like, I didn't no idea what that meant.
What's a gusset?
What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's not really anything in particular that I had my eye on to start. So I'm going to get some spinning started. And so I have to decide what I want to do. I've got a ton of fiber. But then again, we've got the Frabjous fibers, which they're also behind the Wonderland yarns.
Yeah.
We've got the 3 Feet of Sheep, which
that
is
would be
so
super
fun. And I think it's about 8 ounces of fiber, and we've got some fun colors. And I don't know what I would do, or I used to just spin because I just wanted to spin, but now I try to spin for a particular project, or have at least something in mind that I want to use it for. So I have to think about it.
I guess it would depend on whether you wanted to mix the colors all together, or whether you wanted to do individual like to have it separate for some sort of color work
Right.
project or something.
Yeah, so I got to do a little more thinking, but I'm running out of time. Yeah, because it's coming up fast and furious. And we actually, so my husband and I have our TV. We don't have traditional TV. We've got our local stations, but it's all digitally done. We've got one of the Roku boxes. So we've got, Hulu and Netflix and Amazon Prime, because we don't really watch regular TV except for we've got our local channels for the news and that kind of thing. But we actually have, through the Roku box, we've got the NBC Gold station. My husband's a cyclist. So we actually we watched quite a bit of the European bike races.
Oh, nice.
So we're not quite finished watching the Tour de Suisse. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. And we were watching one of the mountain stage ones.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually went up into Austria, and they're right near the Alps. And oh my God, it was frightening. They don't have guardrails in some of the places where you would want guardrails. And I'm like, oh my God, somebody is going to die. But so that's really fun. And we get all of the Tour de France too. So I can actually watch it while I'm spinning along. And then what else? Oh, we watched the Criterium de Dauphiné, which was really lovely. That was in France too, and the landscapes are just
pretty stunning.
It's stunning.
Yeah,
it's so pretty to watch it for that. I mean, I enjoy the bike racing too, because you actually get to know some of the different names and you start rooting them on. I know nobody really. To some people, it's like watching paint dry, but it's actually kind of fun to watch. But so yeah, we've been watching some of that. So I'm going to watch some of the Tour de France while I'm doing my Tour de Fleece spinning, which is kind of fun. And yeah, so I just have to get my wheels clean. So I've got some bobbins that I've got to get just cleaned off. I've got two that are the same colorway that I just have to ply them together, and I've been sitting, so they're very well rested, and it's time to get them plied. So I've got to do that, and then that'll clean off a lot of the bobbins.
Nice.
Yeah. So I've got to like sit down and just think about that. Maybe that'll be what I do tonight. Just figure out what I've got available for bobbins. I really want to get some of the acre work bobbins.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them.
Those are really cool. Actually, I'll make a note to put it in show notes. They are a really cool 3D printed bobbin, and they make them for a lot of the different wheel brands out there. And they actually, so my mother-in-law is very, very sweet and generous, and for my birthdays, after I have Louette Julia, she got me a woolly winder to go with that. And then when I got my Shocked Matchless, she got me a woolly winder to go with that too. So I've got woolly winders for both my wheels, and they actually, Acreworks does bobbins that will work with the woolly winders too. They have the little gear on them.
Oh, nice.
So, and I know a lot of people aren't as big of fans of the woolly winders, but I really like using them. I haven't had any issues. I know some people have had feeding issues and tension issues, but I haven't with mine, and they've worked really, really well.
Nice.
And I've done everything from, long draw to just kind of regular spinning for worsted. So, yeah, I like them.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's a little bit of spinning, which I know I haven't talked a lot about, but there will be more spinning coming up, so get ready. Anne's just going to start getting the itch if I start talking about it.
No, I know. My parents are here and visiting, and I took my mom to the quilt show over the weekend.
Yeah.
And so I was resisting the urge, because I like doing craft stuff, and I know how to sew. I don't sew very much anymore, because I have to sort of choose my hobbies.
I know, your time is
but
limited.
It was so hard walking through there not to be like, I want to buy that, and I want to buy that, and I want to buy that.
I know.
And so I talked my mom into buying this like wall hanging thing that I was like, you can make this for me, and she is. It's actually going to go in the new store.
It's cute.
It's super cute.
It's really
We'll
cute.
show it when it's done.
Yeah.
But so she's using my sewing machine at home, and she was like, you probably need a new sewing machine. Like this one. Well, I know it's like a $200 Kenmore that I bought like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at her and I was like, Mom, if I'm gonna drop money on a sewing machine, I'd rather drop money on a spinning wheel. Because for me.
I actually have a Kenmore. I don't use that all the time anymore, but it was my mom's Kenmore that she had. It's almost as old as I am, and oh my gosh, that machine is phenomenal.
I mean, it's fine. It does what I need it to do. I repair ripped open knees because my child apparently walks on his knees. Hem stuff and occasionally sew. I've done some quilting. It was the 1-inch double Irish chain quilt that I did that did me in. So I haven't done much quilting since that episode.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do enjoy it. It's fun. It's not portable.
Yeah.
But it is. I like doing it. I like sewing. So.
It is nice, and the Kenmore that I've got, I should probably just. My grandfather does. He's always done small machine repair and things like that.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of sewing machine stuff, so I should send it out with my mom over to him.
Yeah, mine probably could totally use a tune-up. Like it's so abused. It's amazing. It's probably even still works.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I was just talking to Carol this morning. I was on Etsy this morning. I didn't buy anything. I was so good, but you should see all the things sitting in my cart.
I may or may not have something in my shopping cart
on
Etsy.
I was like, oh gosh, I've been bitten by the embroidery bug.
Oh.
But so for me, it's kind of, I've done mixed media art before. That's what I really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some encaustic stuff and things like that, which I haven't talked about here. I did a lot of paper art, and like I said, mixed media, so paints, papers, all found objects, things like that, and also the encaustic art. And so my approach to embroidery would be kind of that same way, doing some embroidery, but also including some different fabrics and textures and things like that, which I think would be a lot of fun. And I do have some embroidery books, and I've done some in the past, but not a lot. So I was looking at different things, and I was like, oh boy. So I think I'm going to be bitten by the embroidery bug. But we'll see. I haven't pulled the trigger on any of the things in my Etsy cart yet. So.
Yeah. Do we want to pause? Oh, there we go. All right. I'll have to edit all of this out. We had to take a little break.
We did have to take a break.
I've been outside. It's raining.
Yeah.
We were checking. We had to go check out our new space.
Pardon me while I eat, because it's a couple hours later. Well, not quite.
About an hour and a half later.
Almost 2 hours later.
2 hours. We did a quick walkthrough in our new space with our new landlord, which is literally like walking distance from our current store. So that's why I'm all wet, because it's raining.
It is. It started pouring when we were in there.
Yeah, so we delayed a little bit, which is anyway.
For the magic of editing that Angela is going to do, we're just going to kind of cut in.
So the shadows are going to look different because it's dark, getting dark outside, or darker.
It is, since it's a couple hours later. Almost.
Yeah. So, all right. We were finishing up with the upcoming projects, and I think we were getting ready just to talk about our events.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got the Great Northern Yarn Haul, which is starting July 8th. So that's coming up fast, folks, and that is 23 yarn stores from Lake Champlain to the Atlantic Ocean that are involved in some tomfoolery and shenanigans.
Yeah, last year I think it was like 15, so it's almost doubled. Not quite, but it's still huge.
Yep.
It's a lot bigger than last year.
So check that out.
We have a link to it, to the Facebook page. There's not like an official website, but there is a Facebook page. Basically what you do is you go to any one of the stores that is participating as your beginning store. You spend $20 in that store. You get your tote with your passport and some goodies thrown into the bag, and each shop is going to have maybe a free pattern or a little sample of something. just as little goodies along the way. And
Yep.
I think all of the stores are also having their own drawings. Because I know we've got 2 prizes right now from 2 different yarn companies, and I think we've got at least 1 more coming.
Excellent.
So there's a chance to win, and so one of them is 8 skeins of yarn from one yarn company, and the other is a full kit to make, I think, a nice summer weight top or pullover or something.
Cool.
Yeah, so they're nice big prizes that you could have a chance to win. So, you know, if you don't necessarily make it to all the yarn stores to be entered to the grand prize drawing,
The ones you do make it to will
there's
have
a good chance you could win something
entry for
anyway.
smaller prizes. So
Yeah, and the grand prize drawing is going to be enormous because each store contributed like a prize valued at, I think, like between $20 and $30.
yeah,
So
times 23.
yeah, so you're looking at a huge prize of between $500 and $600.
Yeah.
It's going to be enormous. I don't know. Paula may opt to split that if a lot of people end up winning.
And that would make sense.
She may end up splitting that into first prize, second prize, third prize, something like that, or just splitting it evenly between a couple people or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what Paula from Love Yarn Shop over in New Hampshire is kind of the mastermind behind it, and she's been doing all the details, putting it together. So, yeah.
Nice. And then we have our Stitch and Pitch with the Lake Monsters on July 8th. So that's coming up quickly as well. We're going to be selling 50/50 raffle tickets for Cast Off Chemo. And we're going to be knitting and crocheting and maybe spinning.
We had some spinners last year.
In the stands, and we're all sitting together. We got a block of tickets this year, and
we've got even more tickets that came in. So
excellent.
We've got a bunch. I don't think I've put them up on the website yet, but we do have more than what it appears like. Which we still have quite a few available from the first batch.
Yeah.
But now we've got
Dozen
even
or
more.
so from the first batch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep.
So, pretty good. So get your tickets. It'll be super fun if you haven't been to the Lake Monsters game. They're really fun.
They are a lot of fun, yeah. And it's right in Burlington, so it's easy to get to, right off the interstate.
Yep.
So if you're traveling a little bit.
And they run shuttle buses, so you can park at Gutterson Field.
Which makes it easier in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and just ride the bus down to the ballpark and ride the bus back. And they run a ton of buses. You don't have to wait hardly at all.
Yeah, they do.
It's good. And then we've got our Rhinebeck bus.
Yep.
I still have it in the show notes. It's October 14th, but it's actually October 21st. You copied that from it earlier.
That's right, from the last one. Yeah, because you did the show notes from the last one.
October 21st, we've got the bus, so you can reserve your spot on the website for that. And also don't wait, because we do have a sort of a drop dead date where we need to have X number of seats purchased to be able to go ahead with the trip.
And we would really like to be able to offer it to everybody.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of fun, and it saves you having to drive 4
or
hours.
find a place to stay, or
which a lot of people had started checking into, and they're like, oh my God, everything is booked. And it does, because it books almost a year out.
Yeah.
Because it's such a popular event, and more and more big name designers have been going every year. So it's tough. It's tough to get a place. So definitely don't wait too long before you get your tickets for that, just so that we know how many people to account for. I'm going to actually start pushing I'm going to do some Facebook ads for the Stitch and Pitch and for the Rhinebeck, so we can kind of spread the net out a little bit and broaden the community who might want to join us.
Absolutely.
So once I do that, we get a lot of hits from Facebook ads. So don't wait around, because they're going to start going really fast.
Yeah.
So
we've got those. We got 2 knit alongs going currently.
Yep.
Our spring into summer shawl knit along, and that runs till the end of July. And then we also have our Legacy Fiber Arts along, which runs to the end of July as well.
Yeah.
So, and that's just knitting with knitting, crocheting, weaving, whatever your pleasure is, with some sort of Legacy Fiber Arts yarn.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, my sweater, my fade sweater, has Legacy Fiber Arts in it, so I can count that towards it, and hopefully I'll be done by the end of July. I'm not that far. It would be silly if I wasn't done by the end of July, but
I finished mine, which was the Lionheart.
That's right.
That's all Legacy Favorites yarn. So
nice.
Yeah, but I can't enter anyway, so all for naught or for fun. Thank you, Carol.
She's sneaking in, staying off screen. We got some shout outs that we wanted to do. We've had so many fun viewers come in and visit with us over the last couple of weeks.
I actually got to meet some.
I know, and
super cool.
And happened to be here right at the right time, so it was perfect.
Absolutely.
So we want to say hi to Becca. Becca came in and stopped in, and she's not too far from us. She's, I think, like an hour or two south of us. So, hi, Becca.
Hi.
Hope you're doing well, and we hope to see you up again soon.
Yes, definitely. And we wanted to give a big congratulations to our buddy Jen, who just became a grandmother.
I know, that's so exciting.
Very exciting.
That's
congratulations to you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic.
It is. That's awesome. We also had Lauren stop in, Lauren from Alabama, and we unfortunately, neither one of us were here to meet her.
Lauren, we're sorry.
I know. I would usually have been here, but my farrier was here this morning, so my horse is getting her feet trimmed, so I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to meet you, but we hope you enjoyed your time in the store. So thanks for coming in, and we hope to catch you next time.
Yeah.
And then we also had Rachel stop in too. So hi, Rachel. We appreciate you stopping in, and I did get to see you. And I know you had been in before, and you did look familiar. But sometimes I get to meet so many people on a daily basis. So forgive me if I've seen you before and I don't recognize you. It's nothing against you.
Or I run into you at TJ Maxx and I have no idea where I know you from. So, Amy.
I know, it's so funny when you see people out of context too. Like if it's at a knitting event, like I'm like, oh yeah, I know you from knitting, but you might not always know where or when you met somebody. But then when you see them really out of context,
like TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
That's like.
Yeah. So thank you guys for stopping in
and saying hi.
Yeah.
And checking out the store.
Yeah, because we love that. So if you see us, either whether you come into the store, let us know you're a fan of the podcast, because we love knowing people that are watching and what you like.
It's so nice to know people watch.
It is. That's a lot of fun. And it's so cute, because some people are kind of shy about saying, they know who we are because they watch the podcast, but really don't.
I mean, if we didn't want people to know, we wouldn't share the stuff that we are sharing on the podcast, so it's totally fine.
So come on up and talk to us and say hi and tell us what project you're working on, because we love it.
Exactly.
So we do have a couple questions from the What Do You Want to Hear About thread that I thought that we would talk about.
Okay.
So the first one, they're both, we've got a thread on our Ravelry group. So if you head on over to Ravelry, if there's things you want us to talk about. Plus, we have all of the fun things that you guys told us you wanted to hear about when we did our 1,000 subscriber giveaway thread. And so I made a list of all the things. So,
we're going to start working our way through that.
Yeah, so we're going to pick away at that on days when we don't have quite as much knitting to talk about for you guys.
When I give up on this thing.
So the first one is from Knit Me a Cable, and they say, I'm tired of winding skeins on the back of a chair, and I'm about to invest in a ball winder and Swift as a birthday gift to myself. Good for you.
Awesome.
That's a great gift for yourself.
2 thumbs up on that one.
Any suggestions as to brand? Anything I should stay away from? Thanks in advance, Helene. So what I would say is, and I feel this way about yarn, about needles, about anything you're buying, buy the nicest you can afford at the time. So I actually I was lucky enough, my very first ball winder, and I still have it today. It's a Royal ball winder.
Mine too.
Actually, I'll give Angel the pictures, but I can show you guys some that I took pictures of all of my stuff today. Oops, those are chickens. Those are good too, right? So where is there it is. So that is what a Royal ball winder looks like.
And mine looks pretty much the same.
It's basically got a plastic shell on the outside, and it's fairly small. It can't handle those super big skeins. The nice thing about the Royal ball winders, which unfortunately they don't make anymore, I heard rumor that somebody might have bought the company or the plans or something and might be starting to make them again, but they're not available in the US. I don't know if that's true or not. But the nice thing about the Royal ball winders is the gears were metal. So even though the outside was plastic, the inside was metal. So if if your skein got snagged coming off your Swift, and
it wouldn't strip your
stopped,
gears.
it won't strip the gears or even break them.
Right.
Some of the newer ones that look like the Royal, they have plastic gears. So that's my biggest thing for ball winders is at all costs, well, not at all costs, because we actually do have some in the store. They have plastic teeth in them. If you're just doing your basic skein, nothing heavy duty, you're using it occasionally, they're great, and the price is good on them.
Right.
And that a lot of times is a limiting factor for people. But if you're winding a lot of skeins, if it's going to be, if you're working towards a business in it, and you're going to be reskeining things and balling things up and that kind of thing, then definitely go for something more heavy duty. So we've got the Royal here. We both have Royal. I don't use mine as much anymore. It's light and portable, so if, like when I go to Rhinebeck, it's nice if I want to take it with me, I can pack it, and that kind of thing, which is nice. The one we have here at the store is a Stanwood. We don't sell these, but I'm actually going to reach out to them and see if they will wholesale to us. I don't know if they wholesale to any other stores right now. They have their own Etsy store, so you can go, you can just do a search for Stanwood. The nice thing about these is they actually are really big and can handle very large skeins, which is really nice. And the gears, I don't know if you can see it on here, you can. So the gears are exposed, but they're a nylon gear, so they're very durable, and we run a lot of skeins.
But that thing's a beast. I mean, we run so many skeins of yarn through that.
We do.
And it's held up very well.
Yeah, so we really like it here at the store. The other one that I have, let's see, is it not on here? That go the other way. So my mother-in-law and got together with my parents, and they treated me to some really nice equipment one year. And so I actually have one of the Nancy's Knickknacks ones. It's super heavy duty. It's wood, and a lot of the gearing I think is either nylon and or metal. So it's a really heavy duty. It's the ball winder itself is very heavy,
and these are all manual ball winders because they do make electric.
This one actually, you can take the handle off, and it's got you can replace it with an electric motor, which for the store is something that we'll probably eventually get. So we can just put a skein going and then do other things.
Step away.
Especially when there's only one of us here, and if it's busy, it's nice to be able to offer that service to people, but not have to babysit it and be there cranking away.
Right.
So this is very nice. The only thing with the wooden ones, so these guys, Nancy's Knickknacks, has this one. I think Strauss, I'm not sure how you say it. I think that's the one. I'm pretty sure they have one. Sometimes getting them set up so that they wind and don't start falling in on themselves can be a little bit tricky because they have a little bit more settings, the smaller ones. You basically just put your yarn in and go, and they make perfect balls every time.
Yep.
So these, sometimes you have to adjust for the weight of your yarn. Right now mine's set up so it'll handle fingering weight really well, which is primarily what I end up winding. But if I did some worsted weight, I have to play with it a little bit. And some of that also has to do with believe it or not, how far your Swift is away from your ball winder can make a big difference. So if you're having issues with it feeding on or off, play with the distance between your ball winder and your Swift. I know it sounds funny, but it actually can.
Tension issues.
Yeah, it is. And and then as far as Swifts go, I actually have a couple. I have a couple at my house too. So this is the very first one I started with. It's one of the plastic and metal Swifts. I still use this one quite a lot. It spins really well. So from going from this onto that wooden ball winder, it's nice and smooth, and it spins really well. So it doesn't put a lot of tension on the yarn, which is really nice. And for that particular ball winder, that's kind of what it needs. It doesn't like to have a lot of tension on it, because I do have a really nice cherry wood one that matches it. But sometimes, because that's, you know, wood on wood basically, it creates more friction and tension. And sometimes that pulls too hard and will kind of throw the ball into kind of a mess.
So I have a wooden Swift. I've had it for 10 plus years. It actually came from Joann Fabric. On their online store, they actually sell Swifts. And I can't speak for what the quality is now, but I have to say I was very impressed with the quality of that one. It wasn't inexpensive, but I mean, if you have a 40% off coupon, it makes it a lot more affordable. And I've gotten a lot of use out of that, and it's still it's working. I've managed to break it. I'm broken it. So
and that's the thing, like, you know, people see the metal and plastic ones and they're like, oh, plastic, but I've had mine for probably not quite 20 years, and I've never had an issue with it. So when people come in and they're asking for recommendations, but they've got a budget, I actually will say, I have this and I use it all of the time. And you know, they're about half the price of the wooden ones we sell. So this is the kind that we have in the store. So there's a small version and a large version. We pretty much just stock the smaller versions.
We had the large version, but I broke it.
That's right. But you know, the wood ones are really nice too. This one works really well with our Stanwood. So as far as Swifts go, there's a lot of different styles. I don't think they always make as much of a difference as the ball winder does. Definitely invest your money more towards the ball winder. If you're going to get one over the other, get the Swift first, because you can always hand wind a ball either on a nose pin or on just on your thumb, or on, you know, just winding it. And it'll you know, solve a lot of headaches from having to, you know, ending up with a tangled skein. You don't have to walk around your chair or just even stand over it, and you could just sit there and just kind of wind it off. So that's always my recommendation, is to do the Swift first if you want to break it up, and then do the ball winder down the road. But really spend more of your money on your ball winder, because you'll be happy you did. And like I said, just, you know, if you're going to be doing a lot of skeins, avoid one with plastic gears. But if it's only going to be an occasional use, you can go with the plastic gear. They do hold up, but you have to be a little bit more careful with them, because if you get a snag, that moment you hear that kind of noise, it'll start stripping the gears, and even if it gets a weak spot in it, then it'll do it more and more and more, and it's kind of the writings on the wall with that. So that's kind of what I'd say about that. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I think, and if you can get to a place where you can look at them or try them out, I would recommend that, like anything, because you may not like certain features about any of the products we've talked about, and just being able to play with them a little bit.
Yeah, some of the fiber festivals and things, sometimes they have them set up. I haven't seen as many set up at Rhinebeck, but there are a few booths that I know carry them, and they might be more than happy to put them out for you to try. And there are, you know, the tabletop Swifts that's been around. The only thing with those is you usually need more room to store them, where the upright ones are nice, because
umbrella ones will
the umbrella Swifts can get pretty small, and then you can actually just unclamp them from your work surface and tuck them away, which is nice. Where some of the tabletop ones actually don't collapse. Some of them do. Some of them have more of the just a few things to think about, and moving forward. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's a good question.
Yeah,
Thanks
great
for
question.
asking.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it.
And we'd love to hear in the show notes what other people, brands of ball winders or Swifts that other folks might be using. I'm sure there's lots of companies out there that we don't know about, people making them on Etsy. Like, let us know.
Yeah, there's some really great ones. So give us your feedback on what you guys have had experience with, either in the Ravelry thread, or you can comment on our website, on our page there, and let us know what you like. And we'll maybe have a follow-up with some more info for you guys.
Yeah.
So then the other one that we were going to talk about today is from Susan Knitter 2, and she says, "Hi Angela and Kelly, I really enjoy your podcast and enjoy watching you knit. OMG, I just realized from watching the last podcast, the one with the sheep hats, Kelly is knitting continental. An earlier podcast, Kelly is knitting English style flicking. Wow, I'm so impressed that Kelly can knit either style comfortably. I knit continental and cannot for the life of me knit English. What a skill you have, Kelly. How did you come by learning both styles?" Susan. So I began knitting English style throwing. That's how I learned, and I think
that's what I'm doing right now.
I think that's how a lot of people learn here anyway. In Europe, I know it's quite different, and a lot of people learn continental in Europe. I taught myself to knit continental. I wanted to work on speed, and I use it quite a lot if I'm doing, I know it sounds funny, so because I learned English, and I'm more of a flicker now than a thrower, I don't take my hand off and throw, I kind of just use my finger and flick, which is pretty fast, and that's kind of my natural go-to. I just kind of when I pick up my knitting, and if I were to start, it's usually how I go. But I did teach myself continental to work on speed, and I try to do have one project that I'm working on where I just will knit continental, because to kind of keep that up, and especially now, so once we opened the store and I started doing a lot more classes, I usually have quite a mix in the class. A lot of people are typically knit English style here, but we do have quite a few people who knit continental too. So especially I noticed in my brioche class, it made a difference. People had a hard time translating one to the other. So it's nice for me to be able to do both and show both versions, because the way you're bringing the yarn forward for your yarn overs between English and continental is different. It's just, you're still doing the same thing, but the way you do it is a little bit differently. So that I noticed, especially in brioche, was a bonus for me to be able to show both of them. So most often, if I'm doing a project that's all knitting, like a garter stitch project, this is all garter stitch. I actually knit this English style. I tend to do a lot more continental, just because it's faster. I can purl continental fine. It's definitely a little bit slower for me, just because English I've gotten pretty fast at. I'm pretty quick continental if I'm doing an entire row of purl or an entire row of knit, but if I have to rib, that's a little bit slower for me, kind of switching back and forth. But I definitely practice at it. I make myself practice at it. When I was knitting continental, I was working on Bowden, and the reason that I chose to do that continental is because the top of it is color work. Let me grab it and I'll show it to you. So when I do color work, I use both hands, and I knit. I'll hold my main color typically in my right hand and the contrasting color in my left hand. And so especially for this, all the color work's at the top, and then when I get down to the body, it's just an awful lot of stockinette. So then I'll switch my main color to my left hand, and I'll knit all of it, the rest of it continental. That kind of keeps me up with a project where I'm knitting continental, so I keep that muscle memory fresh, because my hands are more likely to cramp when I'm knitting continental than when I'm knitting English. When I'm knitting English, I can knit for probably hours and it doesn't bother me.
But it also probably helps you keep the right tension and gauge, because you probably have different gauge.
Yes. So that is very true. My gauge, I knit looser continental than I do English style, which is very common. If most of the time, that's what you'll see is that continental knitters tend to knit a little bit looser. Not always the case. The other thing with continental that I've noticed, and is true for almost every continental knitter that I've met and seen their work, is that their purl rows are looser than their knit rows. So that's why if I'm doing something where not in the round where I'm doing stockinette, I almost always default to English, just because that's true of
closer,
me. Yeah.
Your gauge is
my
closer
gauge
to
between rows is closer. Yeah, because it definitely does change it. And I'm good about doing gauge swatches, so I always will do it in whatever style I'm going to knit the piece in. So if I'm knitting the piece continental, I'm going to knit the swatch continental, because I know that I have a difference between my gauges. It used to be a little bit closer when I first started knitting continental, because I think I was kind of tighter and tenser, but it's loosened up now. Now that that was the hardest thing for me is figuring out how to tension the yarn, and now I've got that figured out, and that's why I'm even faster at it. But I definitely have to take more breaks knitting continental, because I don't knit that way all the time, so my hands cramp a little bit more. But that's why I also try to practice it more, so that
that muscle memory.
Exactly. So that's kind of where it came about. Like I said, I did teach myself how to do it, and then I keep working on it just to keep it fresh, and so I can show everybody, especially through classes, so I can relate to each person. So it's really nice for that, and I like being able to do that with students. The trickiest thing that I've come across I have actually a couple students who knit left-handed, and I'm not just talking about that's their dominant hand. They actually knit in reverse. And that was a challenge, because they have to translate whatever they're seeing the opposite way, and I had to do the same thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I mean, you can do it. It's just, yeah. So if you have any lefties that you're teaching, my niece is left-handed, and if she decides she wants to knit, I'm going to teach her continental, because then her left hand is still her kind of dominant hand doing a lot of the work, but then she won't have to translate things.
I think it depends on I'm left-handed.
Yeah, that's right. You are left-handed.
Hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I think most left-handed people have pretty good dexterity with their right hand, because we've had to.
Yeah. I mean, things are definitely getting easier now, but I mean, I remember, even my sister, she's just a little bit older than me, a couple years older than me, and I remember my mom saying that, some of the older generation were like, oh, you should tie her left hand her behind her back, because my sister had tendency to do things with her left hand. She's not, she's right-handed now, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. And I'm fairly ambidextrous with a lot of things, like playing softball. I could switch hit and things like that. So I don't know, but I say give it a go. I mean, if you're a continental knitter anyway, you're probably faster than you would be if you tried knitting English. And I don't know if there's necessarily a benefit going from continental to English, but if you're an English knitter and you want to try something new, try continental, or Portuguese knitting is kind of cool. I've played around with it a little bit, and it's fun, but it's definitely, I think, learning a new thing. What I've realized is, even for new knitters, the hardest part is getting the tensioning right.
Right.
Once you get that tensioning right, it's almost like instantaneous, like, oh, I get this.
Right.
So that's, you have to play around with yarn placement and things like that. Obviously, for Portuguese, it usually either goes around your neck for tensioning, or you wear a pin and it goes through that to tension, because how it comes off. But yeah, play around with your yarn tension, because it definitely makes a difference.
And before I step in, there's no knitting police. So, play around with it, whatever is comfortable and whatever works for you.
Because I remember when I first started knitting, there were ways that you held the yarn. Like, you know, how you tensioned it. This is the way you tension it, and it's like, well, that doesn't work for me. So
yeah, I think whatever
Yeah.
feels comfortable and works and gives you a consistent product. Because in the end, as long as you're getting consistent tension,
yeah, that's what I tell people, you know, especially when they're starting either knit or crochet, is that the most important thing is just consistency. You know, because then you're going to get something that you can replicate every time, and
exactly.
as long as it looks consistent to you, then it.
Exactly.
Because some people end up learning to knit through the back loop, like that's how they knit, and
as long as you do it the same all the time.
yeah, it might look different from somebody else's, but at the same time, it's yours.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So I don't know.
Do what you want.
That's right. It's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be fun.
It really is. So
Yeah. And if it's not
don't
fun,
stress about it. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then next week I'll come in and I'll have a story about how I threw my crochet across the room. So, you know, brace yourselves and
I
prepare.
know there are always times when you might be frustrated with a project, or you know, something's not going quite right.
Yeah.
And that's to be expected, but always remember it's just yarn and it's supposed to be fun.
Exactly.
So, and at the end of the day, you know, if it's not working for you, move on to something else for a little while,
Try coming back.
and come back to it. Or if not, then frog it and be done
Try
with it.
something else.
Hand it to somebody else if you can't
Yeah.
physically frog it, but you know you're not happy with it and not ever going to wear it or use it. Hand it to somebody else and say, please frog this.
Yeah.
You know, I've had people do that before because they just couldn't take out their own work, but they knew that they weren't happy with it.
Right.
So, you know, figure out what works for you, really,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Exactly.
So, for
Exactly.
everything, right?
Yeah. So I think that's
Yeah, we'll
That's all
wrap
we
it
got
up
for
for now. Maybe next time what we'll do, we do have this on the table. So this is Wool Journey Shetland. And what we'll do is maybe just go through it between now and next week, and then we'll have a little review for you. But I did want to point this out. We do have this in store. It's up on the website. So if it's something that you're interested in, this is from Pom Pom Publishing. They printed this, and
Okay.
it's got some great designers in it. And you've probably seen the gigantic Stephen West shawl that's in it, because that's been on a lot of. I'll show you the picture. That one, which is really cool. It's huge. So it's got that and a lot of other really cool things in it. Some gorgeous photography. So check this out, and we'll talk about it next time.
yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. So thank you guys for
Yes.
watching, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Yes. We'll see you later.
Bye.
And I can cut this off and turn it into a outtake.